It is again my pleasure. Welcome to One Primetime. We are super excited today to have a very special guest, somebody who is very dear and very precious to me. One of our very first One certified coaches, and we are so delighted at One Coaching to have a program that we're able to involve so much of the talent that is within our network and people that have that servant heart and are really, really anxious to give back. And honestly, Dustin Sherlin, you are one of those. So I'm going to give you just a moment to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you will.
I sure will. So, Dustin Sherlin with Realty ONE Group. We started with Realty ONE Group in 2021, but I've been in real estate since late 2005. So I'm hitting that 20-year mark.
Oh,
We've been through quite a few markets, ups and downs. So, there's always good and bad in every market. So it's just a pleasure to be here. I'm glad that you guys invited me, and I look forward to, chatting with you, Kathy, just to answer any questions, but more importantly, just talk about what we're seeing in our market and what we see that has made us successful.
great. Now, can you see the screen now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So Dustin, we welcome you. We're going to talk today about repeat and referral business. 20 years, does it seem like it could possibly be that long?
No, and it's like every time I say that out loud, it makes me think of how old I am, and it has flown by. I mean, I've enjoyed every bit of it, even with the ups and downs. So, but the biggest thing is we always learn something
Yeah.
in every market that we're in.
Let me ask you this, because what I want to know what you did before real estate, but I know that you're a veteran and you served our country, and I want to thank you for that. And for all the veterans that are online today, let me hear a shout out from you. And what branch of service were you in? And Dustin, share what you were in and how long you served.
I was in the Marine Corps in the 90s, got out in 99, and then after that, it's kind of a joke because I've never really had a job outside of that. After I was in there, I relocated to Arizona for a little bit, and I was coming back to Tennessee to go back to school because I've always enjoyed flying. And when I was in the Marine Corps, that's what I did was part of the air wing in the Marine Corps out of Cherry Point. But then I got back to Tennessee and then took a summer job with family that was in real estate. And I never left because I liked it so much. So, and then I've been here ever since.
Wow, thank you. So you were in North Carolina for a while. Look at our veterans. I don't know if you can see it or not. Scott Bergman,
Okay.
thank you. Michael, thank you. 22 years. Bo, wow. Brian Elmer, Trisha, um, Army National Guard, great. Thank you all for your service. Al, thank you. And
Absolutely.
again, great to have you with us today. So Dustin, thank you again for being here. You are one of our certified coaches. Let's talk repeat and referral business. So,
Great.
what we want to talk about today are the five essential elements to building that sustainable business. We hear consistently, gosh, I need leads, I need leads, I need leads. Just want to start out and ask you one big question. We talked about this last week. If
Yeah.
you could roll back 20 years, what
hmm
would you do differently?
the biggest thing is, as we did talk about, is being able to track what we did from when I did start, because we didn't always start with that. That's something I learned, but being able to track our business and where that consistent marketing came from, to know where to better spend our money on marketing budgets. It's just we get inundated as realtors with all the things that come through our inbox and all the new tools and technology, lead companies, things like that, but being able to track to see if those things are actually worth the money. So when we started tracking, we could start making those good adjustments in our business to actually help grow our business into what it is today.
Was it money and time or just money, or what did that tracking look like? And what does it look like now as a coach? How do you advise people? Because everyone um in the chat put, what is your biggest time bandit? Because I think tracking is not only money and where advertising dollars are spent, but where we're just wasting time and energy. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely do. And that's, part of the tracking is how, even we track down from how many calls we're making to how many people we connect with to how many appointments we set. And then, of course, how many we take. So, and it helps us, with our time, because if our presentations are not good, then if we track, how many appointments we go on and how many we take, and then we can fine tune our processes and our systems. Because if we're giving a bad buyer presentation or a bad listing presentation, it's going to tell in those numbers. So
Mm-hmm.
tracking that and it helps us get better. The more we know about ourselves and the more we know about what is working and what's not, we can tweak our systems as we go to make them better, to make us more productive and spend less time wasting that time and into more productivity.
Okay. So it's more than tracking money.
It
It's
is.
it's more than tracking time. It's really tracking those results. Where is that energy
Absolutely.
being spent? Where is all of that? And
Yeah.
what would you do differently? Just begin, because I think on our call, I'm looking at the people knowing that I've got Kimberly on here. I've got she's saying her time banned in is social media, and she's just right now it will pay off. Shiny objects for Scott Bergman. So
Yeah.
it's more than a distraction. It's more than being disrupted. It's really focusing energy on something that doesn't work.
Absolutely. And that's where, if you don't track, you're not going to know. So, but if you do track, and there's a ton of ways to generate business, and our business has just ran off four different marketing, avenues or pillars, if you will. But and so we don't have to waste time, on everything else, and our money's better spent because we know what works for us. So we can really focus that time and energy on that because we know what the results are going to be.
And then the conversion rates. You spoke to that a little bit. One
Yes.
thing that's within our business plan, that is downloadable, in one.u is that conversion rate of, because I love this from a coaching perspective. And when we talk about the essential elements of building and we talk about trackability, I don't want to be remiss in not saying, um, how many at bats are you getting, right? How many
Right.
listing appointments are you going on? How many are you? How many are you signing?
Hmm.
Right. What does it look like in those steps during that showing time? How close are you, list price to sale price? What other things on that listing side are you tracking?
So, and it starts with the set met signed, how many appointments we set, and then how many we meet with, because that's one of the things is if we don't do a good job in, with setting the appointment, we didn't qualify the appointment better. So whether the people cancel on us or move it or whatever, so that, set, met, and then of course, how many we sign when we do get to give a listing presentation. So knowing that, but then coming back and knowing that how many of our listings are going to sell. And we're shifting markets from, where everything was selling and prices were going up, and that wasn't really a concern that for most markets. But now we're having to track to make sure that, how many of our listings are actually selling and what could we do better to tweak those to where we're getting better. Is it our pricing? Is it something that we're doing in our marketing departments that's not allowing them to sell? So it's a lot
Right.
of that.
Well, that's interesting. How many in the chat line put if your inventory is higher than it was year over year? And if you know, you do need to know that if you don't. I've talked with several people this week that theirs has doubled. Wow, much higher, much higher. So that exactly what you're saying is so timely. You need the tracking of all of that. Um, Once we do that and you set the tone, let's talk a little bit about follow-up systems because I think they're intertwined so closely. What follow-up systems do you wish you'd had that you have now? Because I'm a shiny object person. I will tell you, and I've said this to you before. I literally have stuff under my desk or under my
Mhm.
steps in my basement that are still in the cellophane paper that was going to change my life and my real estate career, and I was going to make a lot of money, and I never opened it.
Right. Yeah. And you're not alone. I mean, and it happens to all of us. And that's where, even going back to the beginning of asking me what would I've done different, it's picking the one thing and then systematizing it and getting it better. And
Hmm.
if it wasn't for a CRM, I would miss so much stuff. So being organized using a CRM, because it tells us who we need to follow up with, when do we need to follow up with, because as we're talking to, new people that we're meeting, whether it's internet leads to networking events, wherever it's at, one of the things that we do is find timing and motivation. So, and everybody's timing is not right now. So we have to know when to follow back up with. So, and if we don't use, some technology to help leverage ourselves with that, then we're trying to, remember everything. And we got so many things coming at us as real estate agents and technology moving so fast. And as a couple of people mentioned, the shiny objects distracting us, and maybe our attention spans have gone down a little bit, but we have to have something to keep, in front of us to let us know. So when we open up our CRM, it tells us on a daily basis who we need to follow up with and when that timing is there for them to follow up with. So using those tools and technology, and I know AI has came out with a lot of things that will help with that, but nothing's going to replace this with that personal phone call that we still have to do. So using that technology to help us know when. So, and that's one thing that OneSuite has been good.
Yeah, I'm gonna thank you for talking about One Sweet. We'll come back to that, but I'm gonna tell you we had our guest. The previous episode was Michael Thorne, and he talked a lot about AI. It was a little bit. It was
Mhm.
a little bit. It was a lot. Go back. I had to go back and watch it again. But one thing he uses is to amplify the relationship, and I love the fact, and I know what a relationship person you are, because many of the markets, and put a comment in here if this is true. My market in Raleigh, North Carolina is such that I go to church. It's a major city, but I go to church with the people I list and sell houses with, the soccer field, PTA, all groups. So it is relationship oriented, and you have to have that consistency and good behavior. And social media is important. You can keep it important, but AI is really, really going to help. But the tenured time in most markets has gone because of interest rates, because of the pandemic, because of a lot of things. Pre-pandemic, tenured time in a house was 3 to 4 years
Right.
because it was just the market was moving faster. It's now 6 to 8 years. So you really have to have that instrument, you have to have that tool, you have to have that way to stay in touch with people over that longer period of time to reap the rewards for past buyers and sellers. So how are you using OneSuite, and are you using drip campaigns? Are you using what is the magic sauce with that?
So it's all of the above. So I mean, and drip campaigns and a variety of different drip campaigns depending on people. I mean, even the holidays, the birthday cards, that the power of handwritten notes is still part of our practice that we do, because I think that's something that's just so personable to people, and a lot of people don't do it. So it's one of those things that we really utilize a lot, and people recognize that. But follow up, for birthdays, to tell us it's not all just, customer driven where it's sending them information, but it's reminding us of when to do things too. So using that technology to stay in touch with them, but also telling us when to engage back with them as well, whether it's, moments in their life that's happened. uh, but another thing that we have done is, hence our name experts, is we want to establish ourselves as the experts in the market. So giving them data just on a monthly basis with the monthly reports that are in OneSuite, you can use that to set yourself apart, because a lot of agents just don't do it. So setting yourself out with knowing the numbers, being able to track. So when you're talking to people, you know what's going on in the market, you know your absorption rates, you know all that stuff to be able to talk intelligently about it. So you become the authority in the real estate around the people that you know.
I am absolutely loving this conversation. Melissa's doing notes and drip campaigns, seasonal recommendations. Scott's using OneSuite. I would love to know what he's doing. But let's pull apart consistent marketing a little bit, because I'm a little bit fascinated, because I do now that you're I didn't know she was, because she's kept that a best kept secret, but I know that your wife now is a TikTok celebrity, with that she's an influencer. Yes, Melissa, I'm talking to you. And so she's really doing great things there. And what I'm hearing is Experts is really touching the market a lot of different ways. I love that you're doing both the analytical approach and the emotional approach. So when we talk about consistent marketing, how do you identify what people need, and is there a right or a wrong? Michelle, thank you. I love drip campaigns. I love Popeyes. Nora, yes. I love that. We call them one pops. I love that. So talk a little bit about how do you know, is it a shotgun or a rifle? Is it specific to certain that high level referral, repeat and referral customer, or is it I gotta have something that's just set it and forget it, or is it a combination?
Well, and it's more of that rifle approach because we want to, as we track our, marketing dollars, we don't have the unlimited budget to market to everybody. So everything we do is, thought through very well. And so it is consistent because it takes time, just like we talked about timing and motivation. We have to make sure that we're touching them and, connecting with them when the time is right, but staying consistent in our marketing, but picking the marketing and the lead gen methods that is good for you because some people just don't like cold calling, and that's how I was brought up into real estate is cold calling. So but that's not for everybody, so there's different ways, but then you pick that demographic or however you market, but then go deep on it instead of wide. Go and set the systems up that you need to make sure you don't miss steps. And then just like you said, the consistent marketing so people don't forget you because that they do business with who they know and who they like. And we have to be, top of mind when it comes time for them to want to transact real estate.
I love that. And can I ask some more questions around that? Because I want to kind of tie together maybe some things that I've heard and make sure that everybody on the call, because we want to go back to Elaine's question. When you say go deep, you had said earlier birthday cards and anniversary cards and things like that. So what I hear you saying, and I don't want to misspeak for you, but you're saying my CRM is complex enough that I'm being reminded of things that are very personal, that are relationship developing.
Absolutely. And if you talk to some of my clients, they think I've got the best memory in the world. But most of the time I can't remember, what we had for dinner last night. But because we use a CRM so much that I'm a great note taker. So when
Mhm.
I am talking to them, I can remember, the birthdays, the major events, whether it's a ailing parent or, something or a kid's graduation, things like that, that we can go deep in. That's why we have to leverage with the technology so we can remember everything. We talk to so many people and so many things have our attention. So being able to note and being able to remember those major events in their life and then help them celebrate, whether it's sending, thank you cards or, birthday cards or just, congratulations cards, whatever it is. There's a variety of ways that you can, be engaged with them. But that's, the going deep is just being engaged in their life because they want to know that you care. And that's the thing with, a lot of agents, we're transactional and some of them just like, we'll do one transaction, then they never go back to keep building that relationship. So I think the deeper we go in that relationship and building that and being a part of their life, that's where social media, we see a lot of that come in, is because people put things on social media for you to remember. And that's an awesome reason to reconnect with them and say, hey, I know we hadn't talked in a while, but I just saw this. And it's just a great way to re-engage with your customers and clients too by using social media. And that way you can kind of keep up with what's going on.
I love that. And so it can just be that it can be that private message. I've always said I used to have to crawl through the bushes and look in the windows to find out
Yeah.
what people put on social media now. I love that. One other thing I did, and I recommend this in coaching of for buyers and sellers. If you work specific niches in your market, let's say you work an equestrian community, you're
Hmm.
probably pretty well versed in what's going on in that world, but set a Google alert, Raleigh, North Carolina equestrian events.
Absolutely.
And you're going to get daily articles about what's coming, if the rodeo is coming, if Tennessee horse shows. I mean, so just use tools around you to help prompt things to be able to send to people to say, hey, horse shows in town, are you entering? Rodeo, are you taking the kids? So those little prompts will be really, really easy. I want to go, Elaine. Thank you for your question. Any suggestions on how to reconnect with past clients? Or do you feel like you've covered that? Um, the biggest
Well,
thing, Elaine, is to have it in a CRM so you remember who they are.
and that's one of the things, and we use cell phones to keep everybody's phone number and stuff like that in there. But we do have a reconnect letter. And really, and we started this a long time ago when we were not doing such a great job of that. But it's a reconnect email, letter, handwritten, however you want to send it out. But just basically saying, hey, I've done a bad, it don't say it this verbatim, but basically I want to reconnect with my past clients. We either know each other from, social circles, or we've done business in the past, we're friends here or wherever it's at, and we want to start, helping everybody understand the real estate market as it's shifting so crazily. But it's that permission, building that permission-based email campaign or letter campaign, because we want to re-engage and say, hey, we're starting this. We want to make sure we get everybody good information. That's one of the things that we did a while ago to reconnect with everybody we know. Took everybody out of our phone, put them in the CRM, start that reconnect email campaign or whatever it is, getting them back and getting permission for us to send that monthly market report to them to keep them up to date. And that way we're staying in front of them. You can do it text message. There's all the technologies. You just have to pick the one that you like and can use the easiest, because there's a bunch of them out there. So pick what's useful for you. But absolutely sending out to reconnect with everybody. There's nothing wrong with it. To say, hey, I haven't done a good job, but I want to start again. So reconnect, reach out to them. And then that way you can, get that permission base that they want to know more about real estate. And some of them may not want to reconnect with you. That's okay though, if
And
that
some
happens.
of them you may not want to reconnect with too. God, we're getting great
Absolutely.
comments. Yeah. Nora Crossway is saying, I also love client events. So Elaine, that would be great if you can get somebody to
Yes.
co-sponsor it with you. And then they know you're getting, when they know they're getting an invite to 2 events per year, it gives me a chance to ping each person to ask if they can make it and if they'd be there. That is great. Jeff, I'm so excited to hear you say you're using AI, because I think in our last session, you had some aha moments with AI. One thing you can do too is assign a week in a quarter for 2 letters in the alphabet. Oh, so week one, text, DM everyone whose name starts with A or B. Week two, same people, C or D. I love that. And it's all about coming up with a system and execution. And let's talk about that. How important is consistency?
I think that's, if we're not going to do it consistency, why start it?
Yep.
So I mean, it's got to be a consistent thing, just like, and Nora, when she said that, however you want to do it, whether you assign it by alphabet, because we do have a 60 touch for our SOI thing that we do. So if you add them all at one time, because we call everybody in our past clients SOI, every quarter, just to reconnect with them, talking, using the Ford script, to re-engage, find out what's going on. But if you dump everybody in there at one time, then you're going to have a lot of calls that next quarter. So doing it, whether it's, alphabetically, however works for you, but make sure you do set up that system so you can consistently do it. And it doesn't have to be done all day long, and you don't have to do it everything in a week, but time blocking those small time blocks, whether it's 30, 45 minutes, to just start implementing that over time and touching it, and then setting up the continued follow-up, whether it's the monthly market reports, the birthday cards, the quarterly calls, and you do have to throw in some marketing in there too for your value proposition, to show them what you can do, and having call to actions on your pieces that you do send out, leading them back to your website. Again, one suite, home values, search all area, homes for sale. It just helps re-engage them and keeps them engaged with you.
And this, I want everybody on the call to understand, this is like a tapestry. Everything, all these golden nuggets you're getting today, it all goes back to the trackability, right? I mean, I hope you hear him saying, I know what's working. I'm consistently marketing and I'm putting money, time, energy, efforts into what I'm getting a return on the investment, whether the investment be money or time. I love the fact because I know Experts is such an advocate of the brand and such an ambassador of the brand, and you continue to say one suite. And for those of you who are not familiar, we have amazing tools and resources that is a part of your monthly investment with the brand. If you're joining us today and you're not with the brand yet, we would love to talk to you about it. Whoever invited you or however you found out, go in and explore. But whatever it is, you have to have something. I got to tell you, something other than a cocktail napkin, right? Because you have to be able to organize it, because you have to be able to, with these follow-up systems, reach out and touch people. And let's talk about leveraging, because you're going to get to a point, and what, Dustin, for you, what point do you think a professional gets to that it's like, okay, I'm now ready to leverage some of these. They're all income producing tasks, but once you've
Mhm.
tried it, I'm ready to leverage this for me to focus more on making calls, having consistent relationships.
So are we referring to like technology
Yeah,
pieces, things like
I'm
that?
either technology or either a virtual assistant or either an assistant or either just being willing to let go of a few things. And it may be putting it in a set it and forget it system that those emails are going out. You know that drip campaign is going out.
Yeah. And, I think we have to start with technology because I'm a big component of, using a CRM because it will let us know what we do and it helps manage our time so we don't forget the important things of life of, family events and things that we need to do. But, that, and then when those type projects or things that you do in your business are getting in the way of you doing the higher dollar producing activities such as calls and appointments because nobody else can do those and take your place in that. So when you get to the point where you're running out of time and hopefully you have a steady lead flow coming in, that you can start delegating to administrative work, having AI do some of that stuff, but you're still doing the quarterly calls because they want to hear from you. But using technology to help systemize these things so they are set it and forget it, but you're doing the more personal touches with people. Because I mean, you can get people to handwrite the cards for you. There's companies out there that do that. I don't like them, but it's one of those things that are out there. But I think we have to do the personal touches and let the systems or the technology, we leverage our time with that. So we're not having to consistently touch that and do that. We do have to make sure the systems are set up and there's no flaws in it. So put yourself on these campaigns as well. So you see what everybody else is getting, you know what it looks like, and it looks like what you want it to be presented to your customers and clients.
Catherine's got a great question I'm going to come back to, but I wanted to ask you, does that include transaction coordination? At what
That's
point, at what point transaction wise, or is it just it's a control thing for me. And I don't know if anybody else on the call is, but it's hard for me to let go. And I've got to have a lot of confidence in that. But you got to understand done is better than perfect, right?
love that
And
saying.
at what point did you hit that mark?
So, and that's, I guess that could be another thing that I wish I would have known sooner. And it wasn't as big, in the earlier days of my career, but anytime that we can offload the other smaller dollar producing activities that we can spend our time building systems, making our business, growing our business. We have to spend the time working on our business instead of in our business all the time. But transaction coordination, even listing inputting, I don't do that and I haven't done that in a long time. Anything that I can, hire somebody for $20 an hour that they can do, they'll probably do it better than I could. But my time is better spent out there talking to people, networking on the phone, generating leads, than doing any of the administrative things. So I think as soon as you get to a point, you need to know how the contracts read. You need to know the legalities and all that before you pass it off. So if you're brand new, you need to get through a handful of contracts, but then getting that off my plate. And I'm a control freak when it comes to my time. So when it comes to transaction stuff, there will be people that will be able to watch those timelines a lot closer than me. Because as many people as I talk to and appointments that I may go on, they're going to be able to handle that contract and make sure we don't miss the timelines and deadlines on a contract versus me trying to go back and look at my CRM to see where we're at in those. So I think leveraging yourself with that type of work is, fairly important, but you have to also watch your budget too. Make sure that you can afford it. But, transaction coordinating is very cost effective, in my opinion, to be able to do that. And
I want to bring up something a little bit that may be controversial, and I'm not recommending anything that is solicitation, okay? But how do you feel about and then we've got some really good questions and some great comments. Thank you, Scott Bergman. How do you feel about, because we know how do I say this? We know the lack of tenured time with a lot of professionals in the industry. How do you feel about adopting the other side of the transaction? For instance, I'm not talking about solicitation during the transaction, so people hear me. How do you
Mhm.
feel about after closing, if you know you were, let's say hypothetically, you were representing the seller and the buyer didn't have a great experience. Do you ever, and how do, and I wanted in the chat line, how do you feel about following up with them? Because you know what? They're going to be on the other side of a transaction again.
Absolutely. And, it is it's, I wouldn't say it's that controversial. So, because
Okay.
we practice that all the time. So we know the numbers and we know that 80% of the agents are not going to follow up with their customer or client. And a lot of times, if they're buying one of our listings, we got their address. We have the technology to find phone numbers, email addresses, stuff like that. But we know, they're out of their, contract that they just finished with that agent, but knowing that that other agent isn't going to do what we do. So we take that other side of of that transaction. We add them to our CRM. We put them on our drip campaigns. We follow up with them, even following up with them to find out how they like the house that they just bought. Are they happy with it?
Melissa, Kimberly, we've got a lot of people saying the same thing. They're pretty much abandoned a lot of times because there's a 50-50 chance that realtor won't even stay in the industry. Please do that. For those of you that are tuning in today and you're thinking, I don't have a really big database, we just told you how you could probably almost double it. Now, if it's if they're if that buyer's mom was their realtor, you're probably
Right.
not going to work with them or a family member or somebody they've done multiple homes with. But absolutely, add that. I tell realtors all the time, you want to double it, do it because they probably did not have a great experience. And they probably witnessed you doing a great job on behalf of the other party. So please, please do that. You said something I want to go back to. First, let me go to the questions because I love this. Catherine had a great question. Let me find it. Um, she said, how do you know what to say? So when you call them, here we are. How do you organize what you speak with your past um, clients every quarter? I think she meant every quarter you call them. She said she's struggling with what to say.
And a lot of people do. So, and if you go back to that forward script, family, and it's the fastest way to build rapport. Talk about people's family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And we've got a script for our office and coaching clients. It's just you're calling them, asking about the family, the occupation, the recreation, the dreams. That's what they want to talk about. People love that you're interested in them. And it's just, connecting with them. Take good notes so you can remember the last quarter if something, a major event was happening in their life or something like that. Then if you're a good note taker, you can go back and check in. Hey, the last time we talked, I know that your child was graduating college. or did they get the job wherever they were going? Were they moving out of the state to take another job or going down a career path? So taking those, it's just checking social media, as you mentioned earlier. You can look them up on social media to see they just had another kid or had a grandkid come in. And it's just the easy way talking about the family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Did they buy a boat? Did they just go on a trip? I mean, there's so many things that you can connect with, and social media makes it easy because everybody puts all the good stuff. They never put the bad stuff, which we don't want to talk about anyway, but they put the good stuff about their life on there. So I would pick that up and, then start that conversation. Then every quarter that you're calling, you're picking up on that last conversation you had. And then one of the last things that we do, and this is where, you continue to do it, or continue to grow your business, is I always ask them, permission based, ask them, hey, we want to keep everybody up to date with what's going on in the market. Interest rates have been crazy. The market's this, that, whatever season we're in real estate. But hey, our company puts out a monthly market report just to keep you in the loop of what's going on in the market. I'd like to add you with that. We will not spam you. You can always unsubscribe if it's too much, but it's once a month. So would that be something that I could add you to our list that goes out to? Get permission to do that. Then I ask them one more favor, and I ask, will you do me a personal favor? And you have to make that pause. We love awkward pauses, so we have to make them, stop and say, yes, they will do that personal favor for us. And then you go back and say, if you hear of anybody that's, thinking about buying or selling real estate or needs some information about buying and selling real estate, will you do me the personal favor? Will you pick up the phone and call me and give me their contact information? I don't, I don't ever carry business cards, and it's done on purpose because I want to get people's contact information. So I'm not dependent on them to call me. I want to be able to call them. So I want my past clients, if they hear of a friend or relative, when I see them next time, they say, well, I gave somebody your card, but that doesn't do me any good because I don't know who it is. So I want them to call me, text me that person's contact information. That way I can reach out and connect with them, add them to our CRM, check timing and motivation, the whole 9 yards.
So do you say at that time, can you text me their number right now?
Yeah. If
I
they know of
love
somebody
that.
right now, hey, who do you, and if you know, because the biggest thing, and I know the hesitation that people don't want to call their friends and family and say, hey, do you want to buy a house or sell a house? We don't want to come off hard soliciting our friends and family. But hey, can you do me a personal favor? If you know of somebody in your social group, because we may not be in the same social groups, if you know of anybody in your social group, will you give me their contact information?
Well, I love that. My question is always, who do you know that I need to be talking with?
Yeah.
And write that down, guys, because that's softer. But who do
Mhm.
you know that I need to be talking with? And they'll go, well, what do you mean? Well, do you know anybody interested in real estate, or do you know anybody starting up a business that I could help them? See, if you can make it a reciprocal, then that just starts a nice conversation. It builds that referral network. We're going to talk about referral partners, but first, Anita, thank you. Dustin, where is the best place to hire the people that can best assist with leveraging?
What type of leveraging are we talking about, I guess?
Well, maybe let's talk first with TC. Let's talk about have you had a virtual assistant? I will tell my answer to that is Fiverr, depending on what you have to have, Fiverr. Like if
Mhm.
AI is replacing a lot of that, which is another conversation. But um,
So, and if your office doesn't have transaction coordinating in the office that you're currently in, there's a lot of people like Fiverr that you could go to for TC work. There's companies across the country that you can do it. We have hired virtual assistants that we're able to go overseas with. But and I can put a list together of the ones that we have used and send that out to everybody. But I'd probably talk to if you have some senior agents in your office, see who they're using, because more than likely they're using a TC and they've got a good reputation or they wouldn't be using them. But I would stick close because sometimes when you're starting with that, you don't know the relationship, and finding somebody overseas may or may not be good. So I would look for good track records and talk to some of the agents that may be using them that you know, like, and trust that's close to you, and see who they're using first for TCs. Because we've had some TCs that they've done one transaction, that's the only transaction we used them for.
Yeah.
So you run across that. So getting some references of local
Yeah.
people too.
Thank you, Anita. Anita says, I was referring to more people to hire to assist with things like social media, marketing, not necessarily a TC,
Okay. Yeah. And Fiverr, that would be,
and not someone offshore.
and that's, you can still find some people, locally that will do that, on Fiverr. There's all kinds of people on there that will do that. You can, and there's a lot of people, I know COVID taught a lot of people that they can, work from home. So you can put an ad on Indeed for just somebody that needs to be virtual, and you can start them out at part-time, or maybe they're doing that type of work for other people as well. So, I mean,
Yeah, Melissa's got a great suggestion. She said college student. I know, Anita, the community colleges around me now offer like a certification. It's like a social media certification. I'm kind of
mhm,
making that up. I don't know the name of it, but it's like a course. And a lot of times people that have been through that understand algorithms and meta tags. And I would go to the community college and find out if that course is there, and if they can give you people that are doing it. Like you said, Dustin, they're doing it as a as a co-career type thing, and they would be very dependable. And honestly, Anita, it's not like you want them sitting there with you,
right.
9 to 5. I think one thing, Dustin, and this was a learning curve for me. Do you agree that you really have to know what you want someone to do for you before you leverage it? Because the worst thing in the world is going, oh my gosh, what am I going to get them to do now? They're sitting there and I don't have anything for them to do.
No, I think you need to have a plan, and planning and having them, what they need to do to be able to take the workload off of you. So you got to know what's consuming your time and what you can delegate, but you got to have the plan to give them so they can follow your plan that you have. And even in your CRM, you can set the task in there to remind them of that. So, I mean, it's still somewhat of not an employee, it could be a subcontractor, but you got to make sure that they're staying on top of what they're doing and managing them to an extent.
I love that. We've got comments in Nora says college students along with Melissa.
Mhm.
Scott and Nora are both saying hire a coach. That is, I mean, you've got to find out, you've got to know what your plan of action is. Even Anita, if that's a short term, just to kind of lay out that blueprint. The biggest challenge and um, heartache I have with our profession is how many people are not strategizing, and they don't have a blueprint, and they're trying to run their business um, like a speedometer and not by a compass. Because real estate, especially the navigation of real estate in the past few years, Dustin, we've seen a lot of cycles. It's really been fascinating, and navigation, having someone to help you navigate that path
Mhm.
is incredible, because no one knows what's coming next, right? But you almost need. I'm a NASCAR. Used to be a NASCAR fan. I don't understand anymore. But having somebody up in the tower that says, "Hey, stay in the middle of the track," you're not going to see anything because there's so much smoke. But if you stay in the middle of the track, you're not going to hit anything. And that's really today what I see a real estate coach doing, is that navigation of doing that.
And I can agree with you and Scott about the coaching part. And I started early in my career with a coach. And they're able to help you decide and know what you need to be delegating to keep you on task, know what you need to be spending your time on versus what you can delegate to somebody else. So having that somebody from the outside looking at your business to help you plan that stuff is hugely important, and it's helped us to get to where we're at today. I mean, and we're still coached this day, but it's just, you have to just find a coach that you connect with, that knows where you're at, but and what they'll be able to put that path out for you to help you get to where you want to go. And I know coaching costs money and I hate for people to spend money, but if if you hire the coach, you're going to get a huge return on your investment with having someone else to guide you along the way, because we get so busy in everything that we do and all the shiny object, as we said earlier. We don't need to be distracted. We need to be laser focused on our business and be able to set those systems up and be able to do what we do to make it profitable. And more importantly, to, have a little that family time too, that, because it can consume your life if you're not organized and have systems and everything in place. So, and that's the good thing about a coach, will help you get there quicker.
Yeah. Anita, at my community college, it's called a social media certification. And it's a very quick course that people take and they come out certified and know the ins and outs of things. Or you could get a 10-year-old, either way, because you know how they are. Let me ask you this. Let's as we come to end our time together, I want us to talk about referral partners, because that was something you shared with me. You wish you'd known. You wish you'd known the intensity and the power of partnering with the right people. Tell us a little bit about what that means.
So refer partners, and they could be in a variety of different ways. I mean, and just as, Summit, finding people across the country with, going to Summit, we've met a lot of people across the country and received those referrals that people are moving to our area. So they're hugely important to find people that you can leverage with, that, that even you're referring out. And that's one thing that, controlling that time, because we've had agents that want to go outside of where we're really should be focused on our marketplace that we do a lot of business. So, finding people that are just too far away, or buyers that are too far away, sellers that are too far away, finding the partners that are in surrounding cities that you can refer back and forth with. And knowing, because I mean, we're in kind of the center of three bigger cities. So having partners in those areas to go back and forth with is huge. And it doesn't eat up our time traveling all that distance to service a buyer or a seller when somebody else is more local to do that. So there's a lot of different ways to find good referral partners, but Summit has been one, and even Melissa will attest to that. And of course, we've tracked how many referrals she's got from each summit that she's went to, and it well pays for her trip to Summit every year, even probably 10 times what she invests to go to Summit. So finding good people, but finding good people that you can trust too. So it's just.
And I thank you so much. You and Melissa are both chatting that up right now. I want to have everyone mark their calendar for July the 23rd, 7/23. We're going to be talking about Summit, and we're going to be talking more about the opportunities and all there. But between now and then, I want to give you all a challenge. Go to your broker owner, or if you are the broker owner, go into your database, go into your zone account. Find out, this is the challenge for everyone. Identify your feeder market. And what I mean by that is in Chattanooga, in Cleveland, Tennessee, where is everyone moving in from? And where is everyone moving out to? And it may be 8 miles, it may be 80 miles, it may be 800 miles. But what you're going to find and what you're going to identify is very much a pattern. And so I've got a lot of questions. How do you do that? You're going to have to go in and you're going to have to explore. Your broker owner should know where are people coming from. Now I'm going to give you a little cheat. If you're coastal, or if you're, that Smile area or lower US, um, it typically tends to be trendy. It may be based, it's hard for me to answer, Debbie. Thank you for the question. It may be a corporate move. It may be that John Deere is moving people in from Dayton, Ohio. I made that up. That was good, wasn't it? It may be that Hyundai is moving people into Savannah, Georgia. It may be that um, Amazon is going to build a new distribution center and they're moving people in from another city. So you're going to have to do a little due diligence. But I promise you, if you can identify those markets, go to Summit, get that personal referral. You're going to be able to buy one old fashioned, and return on that could be tens of thousands of dollars. It is about relationship, right, Dustin?
It definitely is. That's where it starts. So, and there is a variety of ways to find out that, where those people are. And we know from being in the business where a lot of people come from, but social media groups too. I mean, that's a quick, easy way because people set up social media groups of, moving to your area, and you can find out where a lot of them are moving from just on that.
Right.
So,
We had a great podcast with guys out of Charleston, South Carolina, and they're doing a ton of their business on YouTube. And we released that last week, and they know where specifically those people are moving to Charleston, um, South Carolina from, and they've got that dialed in. Melissa's saying use your QR business code with one suite and tag where you met them. She's such a little influencer and networker, isn't she? Um, yes. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Referral partners. I have to tell you, Dustin, this has been just absolutely phenomenal. I want to go back to everybody. I want you to make some notes. This is going to be the actionable part. Um, some nuggets that I'm gonna just preach from now on. I'm gonna give you credit for every time I do, Dustin. That phone list. When you said take your phone, what if you guys, what if you did 3 to 5 a day? If you, I mean, I've probably got 800 or 900 people on my phone. What if you took that phone list and you took a person out of your phone and you added them to your CRM? And you said, this is how I met them. This is where I met them. This is what we have in common. Catherine, to your point, when I call them, this is what I'm going to talk to them about
mhm.
because this is what we have in common. We met at the ball field. We met at, the Girl Scout meeting, whatever that looks like. So that getting that phone list transferred into your CRM with those details, going 3 feet deep instead of 3 inches deep and 3 foot wide. I love that. You said something else and you skipped over it, but I want to come back to it. Handwritten notes.
Yes,
People will keep them.
they will. It's amazing that I've sent people letters, handwritten notes, and I've walked into their house months, years later, and it is hanging on the refrigerator with a magnet.
Yeah. Yeah. And the third thing, man, I love this. And this is so simple and it's so friendly. Just, you know what? I don't have my business cards with me. Can you just text me their number?
Absolutely.
Because now, if they don't have your number, you have their number and um, they have yours. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. It's simple. It's non-threatening. It's conversational. I love that. Melissa, one last tip. Don't sit with the people you know at Summit. Network with our neighboring ROG agents. I love that. That's how you build referrals. I've watched her work the room um, at other events. And I'll tell you one thing that Dustin and Melissa do brilliantly, and it's an investment of time and energy. And I've seen them not walk away, but I've seen them step away from their business long enough to support area Realty ONE Group offices. I've seen you in Nashville. I know you go to Knoxville. I know I've seen you at other events. I've seen you in South Carolina. So
Right.
that's how you do it, folks. It's essential. There are elements to build your business, but to me, it's about relationship. Do you agree with that?
100%. That's what it is. And it's getting, like Melissa said, go find people you don't know. That's how
Yeah.
that's one easy way to generate, new leads is find somebody you don't know and get to know them. And then it all follow, then you have the systems to follow up with them after that. So, I mean, it's just putting all that in place, but it is a relationship business, 100%.
Dustin,
So,
put your email or Melissa put the email in there for people to follow up. This guy's a great coach. If you want to know more, if you want a one-on-one with him, several of you had tremendous questions that I'm not sure that we dug in deep enough. So please do that. Thank you all for being on today. Wasn't this fantastic? I love these conversations. I love feeling like we're in the room with you and we're able to make a difference. Now, go out there and make a difference. Make a call and let us know. We'll be back together on July the 9th. No, we won't. We will be back together on June 25th. June 25th, Carrie and I will be seeing you, and we invite you all to come back and start finding out where those feeder markets are. Dustin, this has been wonderful.
Very good. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
I do want to
Appreciate
add
you.
one
Uh-huh.
thing. If they want any of our follow-up systems, just the outline of our follow-up systems, I'll be glad if they send me an email. I'll be glad to send them over that
Oh,
punch
wow.
list of that for them so they can have it and start implementing. If they want to go deeper, just let me know. We do the one-on-one coaching free to kind of see where you're at. Be glad to help.
Oh, wow. Broker at Realty One Group at realtyoneexperts.com. Broker at realtyoneexperts.com, and you'll get a bunch of free stuff. Do
There you
it.
go.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.